So this person right here, Jake Weddle, is a complete fraud. He's attempting to bring down MrBeast right now, and not that there's not a lot of valid claims against MrBeast, but everything that this specific person is saying and doing is a lie, fabricated, exaggerated, and I have proof of all of this stuff. So stick around and I'll tell you all about that. I think everything that Dogpack is doing is pretty genuine. It comes from a good place, and I'm interested to hear more, but Jake Weddle is a disgusting human being, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why.
It was a terrible facility. I mean, he was in one of the studios. Yeah, there was a hot tub in it. Yeah, there was an ice cream machine. But when you think about stuff, a hot tub that's not connected to a filtration system, give it 3 days, it's gonna stink. Like an ice cream machine has 2 modes. On, and off, reeking of smelly dairy, mildew.
Guy's sounding like he's from the mean streets of Westland, Oregon.
There was years where my father didn't even make 100 grand. Or barely made 100 grand. And sure, we had a maid, but she only came twice a week. What do you think happened the other 5 days?
He's really an unintentional parody of himself. It's ridiculous. He has recently come out against MrBeast with allegations of abuse and sexual misconduct, alluding to Jimmy himself being a pedophile and using a bunch of exaggerated hyperbole to make his point about Jimmy being a bad person, but being really loose in the explanation of Jimmy being involved in sexual misconduct, even though there's no proof or there's no point that he's even making to allude towards Jimmy himself doing anything wrong, in that category at least.
The manner in which that you're presenting this information, if you're honest with yourself, you're very inflammatory with the way that you're accusing MrBeast.
I am.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but didn't you compare MrBeast to like your dad who interacted with a minor?
I did, because I had a very similar allegory that I thought was very apropos. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, do you understand how people can be critical of your approach when you're that inflammatory that you're comparing MrBeast to like your pedophile dad?
I still feel like it's appropriate. I don't know what this point is about. I'm not sure what the point of these questions are.
Any dismissal of him using that type of claim is met with, I'm a comedian and I can say exaggerated things, but I also stand by my statements. I feel like if you're gonna make a video that's made to expose somebody and ruin their image, and you're crying in the video detailing a supposed traumatic experience, and then you slip that in there without any comedic tonality, I don't think you can use that excuse. And if you're not familiar with the backstory, I'll go through it quickly. A YouTuber by the name of Dogpack404 has come out with all sorts of allegations against MrBeast. He is an ex-employee, and he dropped this video detailing all of the things that he did wrong in a 3-part series, actually, with the recent one just coming out this week. He claims that MrBeast has been involved in illegal lotteries, faking videos, doing things that go against his charitable nature, and above all, allowing an environment for sexual misconduct to exist. So where does Jake Weddle fit into all of this? Well, Jake Weddle appeared in the second Dogpack video, the second expose in the takedown of MrBeast, and the video was exclusively him talking into the microphone about his experience there. He explains that he was an employee for some time.
The shadows a little bit. I'm in the cutting room floor a lot of the time. But I've been in some videos. I've worked on a lot of them. I was there from 2019 to 2020, 2021.
And then he expressed some grievances about someone not being paid fairly.
And I said, I need XYZ or I'm out of here. And they said, bet. And they gave me a severance check the next day. And they gave him a severance check the next day. And if I knew he was going to lose his job too, I wouldn't have done it.
And then apparently MrBeast fired them both on the spot, offered them severance, and then much later brought back Jake Weddle to participate in a game.
I get a call from somebody over there, and they go, hey, they want you for a video. I was like, oh, amazing, great, cool, thank God. They try to make the pitch sound like it's going to be like a walk in the park. The pitch is 100 days in solitary confinement. But don't worry, like you only have to last like 30, we have like a video.
So the video is that he'll win $300,000 if he can make it 100 days in a confined space. Now this is very important to note. $300,000, that's the prize. This is after him being fired off of MrBeast. So Jimmy's business model is we're going to create content out of you earning this money. And because we're creating that content, that generates the money to be able to give you. That's how he's able to pay people huge sums of money, because the content itself pays more than what he's giving the people. One does not exist without the other. Obviously, you need the content to be able to supply the money. According to the team, he only had to last around 30 days. They probably wanted him to go for as long as possible to stretch out the content. Important to note that they chose him specifically because he was a pre-vetted person that they know could work on camera, who would be a little bit more able to play along with the game and stretch out some content, be more willing to participate in certain challenges. So he had some grievances with this game. According to him, it caused him trauma for the rest of his life. So what were his issues with this whole situation? It seems a bit weird. He's gonna win $300,000. All you have to do is sit in a room. Sounds easy and sounds like anybody in their right mind would want to do that. Happily so. Most people's lives would be changed forever by receiving $300,000. I know people that would cut off their hand to get $300,000, let alone sit in a room for 30 days. But guys, the lights wouldn't turn off and the ice cream machine, it melted, so I couldn't even eat the ice cream for most of the time in the hot tub. I know I did have a hot tub, but it was dirty, so like I didn't gonna use the hot tub. It was dirty.
My neighbors were twins. They got a Mercedes for their birthday, but just one. They had to share that car. You haven't seen the things I've seen. You haven't been down that way.
So he was mad that they pitched it to him as if it would be easier than it actually turned out to be. He was mad because the lights would stay on and he had trouble sleeping. He said he had mental distress. He needed to see therapists for years. He was so mentally disturbed because of this incident for being in a room for 10 days. I don't know about you guys, but I would put myself through insane feats of human resilience just to get $300,000 to be able to help my family for the rest of their lives, or donate to charity, even if that's your style. I don't know. Seems like you could put yourself through the rest of that challenge, if not for yourself, for others. Do you have family members? Do you have people you care about? Fuck it. If you're not doing it for yourself, do it for them. Do you know how much that could help people? You're so worried about MrBeast being a big evil corporation, then maybe that money would be better suited in your hands, wouldn't you say? But here's where the problem actually lies. He's so self-entitled where he thought he would get the money anyways if he put on a big enough show. He was obviously very uncomfortable. I'm not discounting that. He probably had a difficult time. I don't know. I wasn't in his shoes. The point is, he thought that he could get out early, that he would maintain his relationship with MrBeast, that he would get the money anyways.
I did not get the 300K. What I got, he goes, think of it this way. At least you get to keep what you earned. You know, you were in there for XYZ days. You did XYZ challenges, so you got 100,000 some change, you know, give or take.
Guys, I sat in a room for 10 days and I only made 100 grand.
Or barely made 100 grand.
That's not how the world works, buddy. It's really not. You gotta learn that. Is it any surprise he didn't call you back after that? Is it any surprise at all? Why would he want somebody to come back on set that's obviously really prone towards having mental fucking trauma over being in a room for 10 days? That's definitely not the hardest thing that's been done on MrBeast Productions. What's this?
I'm gonna spend the next 7 days buried alive under 20,000 pounds of dirt. This is the scariest thing I have ever done.
What the fuck?
Well, I guess it's time.
Bury me
That's a lot
alive.
worse.
I guess in what ways did you feel that you were pressured? Did you feel like you would lose your job? Does MrBeast have a pattern of firing people if they don't do what he listens?
They did not call me back ever for another thing. So that just proves that, you know, yeah, I was a poor sport about one, not even a poor sport. I said no. And then they're like, all right, well, don't call Jake back for stuff. There was also the pressure to want to get called back so I could do more challenges. That was the last thing I ever did over there. And then they never called me back after that. Yeah. And then I did not get to do any other challenges. They never called me back after that because of me saying I didn't want to do all of the things.
Why would you even want to come back if all you're saying is true and you had all that trauma and you vehemently disagree with everything that he does? You love to soak up all of his influence and his resources, but as soon as it doesn't benefit you and you're not allowed back, now all of a sudden you got a trauma story. I don't think we'd be seeing any of this if he did allow you back. That's just me though. So as a part of the game, they spice up the content by introducing different challenges. Now, normally in these videos, they'll offer challenges that make it way harder to be there at risk of them losing the whole thing. In this instance, it's none of that. The difficult challenges that he had such an issue with were solving a Rubik's Cube.
So your first challenge, Rubik's Cube. I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. I was like, on camera, I don't want to do it. You go, just do it for the thing. Like, kid, you know? Like, there was an element of, oh, Jake will do what we want because he's in-house. We can push him a little extra hard because we know he's good. We know he's
playing with Legos. And then Jimmy offers him a challenge worth $10,000 for him to run a marathon in a certain period of time. He didn't have to run it in one go. He had a certain period of time where he could run like a mile here, a mile there. But he said yes to the challenge. If you've seen any MrBeast video, people say no to challenges all the time. But he said yes to it, and now he's complaining that he can't stand and he's all swelled up and it's da-da-da-da.
Did you try to say no? Like, did you have a choice or?
based on the Rubik's Cube thing and based on all the other stuff, there was so much pressure to just do it, just do the thing, you know? And if I refuse, it's just, oh, that's the whole video. I guess the budget's, so much money up in flames because Jake said he wouldn't want to do the thing.
At this point in the conversation, it's funny watching him try to scramble and figure out ways to rationalize the fact that he was such a victim in this situation. At what point do you have personal accountability that you had the social anxiety where you felt like you couldn't say no? Is it really MrBeast's fault that you felt as if you couldn't decline? People say no all the time in MrBeast videos, and then Jimmy's forced to come up with things that they might say yes to. That's actually part of the entertainment. So just because you felt as if you couldn't say no, that's the whole pressure thing that they're talking about. Why is he accountable? Now, the only reason he cites that these things are all problems are because of the insane pressure that's put on him, the big pressure. This is really his only point, is because there's always a pressure on him to perform.
Yeah, here's the thing. But the thing is that, yes, that is true. And I bet you did feel a lot of pressure that you didn't want to cause like your friend or buddy in the past, MrBeast, any kind of money. I get that. That's 100% of pressure. But the thing is that I don't think it's that high of a pressure where then MrBeast is now held responsible for doing like an unethical, like fucked up challenge.
That's where you're coming from, and I disagree, and that's fine.
So I just think like personal agency, erasing that, you have to reach a really high bar to take away someone's personal agency here.
And I think, yeah, I think Jimmy definitely took away that agency in droves, but if you don't think so, that's fine.
And like the reason I just want to harp on this is just that it's a really big allegation to say that like MrBeast took away your agency and in a sense kind of like forced you into doing this. But
I agree. That is very serious. That's why I alleged it.
Now, the same could be said for any work environment where your boss is asking you to do something, or even if he doesn't ask you to do something, you always have that pressure to perform. It's just one of those things that exists within the corporate world where you want to please the person that hired you to do something, but you don't have to do it. It's just a fact of life. But it seems like Jake Weddle just doesn't want these facts of life to affect him personally. 300K, and he doesn't want to leave his little tiny comfort zone. It's a little ridiculous, but his arguments for it are worse because at the time of this challenge, he didn't work there. So that takes away a lot of that pressure because it's not as if he can lose his job. He doesn't have a job. The only way I could see this argument working is if he were to have been working there at the time, and if Jimmy had a history of firing people who didn't play ball or alluded towards letting him go or something like that, where it's going to affect his paycheck and his livelihood. But in this situation, he's just a guest. The only reason he's there is to participate in the game, and he's not willing to participate in the game. So yes, there's a pressure to perform. Let's compare this to a situation if you're an actor and you're going to sign up for a movie. Now, let's say you're Robert Downey Jr. and you're signing up to be in the next Avengers movie. And as a part of the movie, you have to do all sorts of things to play the role of Tony Stark. You have to sit inside of this suit for extended periods of time. You have to go on set and fly through the air. And then later on you say, no, I was distressed the whole time. I had this pressure to perform since they hired me to be Iron Man. I felt like I couldn't let them down because I wanted to be in the next movie and I just didn't want to do it. So I left 10 days in. They only paid me $2 million out of the $8 million paycheck, even though I didn't give them any value and they couldn't make the movie at all. How ridiculous would that sound? So going through this, Jake Weddle said that he was deteriorating mentally. He couldn't make it. So he only lasts 10 days. All right. He just couldn't do it anymore. He wanted out. So they pulled him out after a little bit, after trying to like convince him a little bit, like, hey, dude, just last a little bit longer so we can get some more content and then we can have a fully fleshed out video. He says, no, I can't do it. So they end up shutting it all down. Okay, fuck it. There were some challenges throughout that game and they allowed him to keep the money that he made with the challenges. But obviously they didn't give him the $300,000 because there's no video. He didn't finish the challenge. So there's that. But also there's no video to post. So they're not making any money from that situation. On the contrary, they actually lost a lot of money. They put all those resources in place to make that room, to put production members on that job, to have a bunch of people that are involved with that project, time spent scheduling. They lost a lot of money putting that project together just to have him flake. And again, important to note, they chose him specifically to avoid these types of issues. This guy seems pretty emotional about all of this. Let's see his reaction at the time. Luckily, we have it all on YouTube from what he was saying in the past, so we can go take a look at exactly what he was thinking and saying at that time.
For the past year and a half, I was working at one of the most popular YouTube companies in the entire world. So if you thought that this was going to be an exposed video, haha, no, it's not. Because me and Jimmy actually left on very good terms. I met with Jimmy before I left. He understood where I was coming from. I understood where he was coming from. There's no bad vibes either way. I'm good.
Wait, what do you mean he knew where you were coming from? You previously just mentioned that he let you go and gave you a severance. What's the title of this video again? Why I left MrBeast? What are we doing here? Come on now, bud. You know you didn't leave MrBeast. Your ass got fired. What are you talking about? Okay, that's a little strange.
I was let go for trying to argue higher wages for another employee, and that was in 2020.
Little confusing why he wouldn't come out back then to say anything. No matter how you put it, you're admitting to lying, whether you lied then or you lied now. And if you lied then, why am I not supposed to think that you could be lying now that it's definitely in your favor to come out and say bad things about MrBeast? Previously, you couldn't touch MrBeast, and that's why you knew not to say anything, because it would have only benefited you to say nothing, because then maybe you'd be in a video in the future. But now that you realize that he hasn't called you back after that whole episode you had, now you're saying, well, there's no bridge to burn anymore. He's not gonna have me back.
I thought you don't work at MrBeast anymore. I don't. I'm still friends with all those guys.
But it goes a bit deeper than that. A lot of this represents something called confirmation bias. It's been revealed from Jake himself that he has some bias towards MrBeast because MrBeast never found him funny.
And he also didn't like me, and that's because I was trying to inject funny, weird comedy into the scripts that he didn't like.
Jake Weddle is somebody that built his whole charisma and his whole identity off of stand-up comedy. He believes himself to be a top-tier stand-up comedian, and that's his big dream. So when he got the opportunity to write sketches and skits for MrBeast, of course he was probably over the moon, but coming to find out that MrBeast didn't enjoy his sense of humor or his writing style, it kind of hurt his feelings, and he had some resentment towards MrBeast the whole time just for that fact.
I'm in the cutting room floor a lot of the time. I consistently was in the half that Jimmy doesn't like me. That's fine. I don't like him either. It's okay. Oh, it's just so good to say. I don't like Jimmy. I hate you so much.
And Dogpack gave me some creative freedom, and it was very refreshing to have some creative freedom on something that I thought was really important.
Of course, the whole firing situation grew further resentment. A lot of the times you use information to confirm your bias on people and to confirm the preconceived notions that you have, especially when you have your own personal reasons for disliking somebody and then a bunch of bad things come out in the media. He's not sticking to the things that MrBeast did wrong. He's painting a broad picture, a character assassination.
What kind of person is this, CJ?
Jake Weddle is a professional victim. Going back to the YouTube videos that he used to make right after he got fired from MrBeast. Yeah, that's right, fired. You didn't fucking leave. He realized that the only way he can get some traction is by mentioning MrBeast. All of the videos that he has that have any views on them are titled with MrBeast in it. And in those videos, he would just go on for like 10 minutes in the beginning of the video, rambling about how hard life is and how broke he is and how he just can't seem to get by.
I haven't been uploading as frequently as I'd like to. Because my life is in shambles. I'm just in a weird transit because like I've been living in. I've been trying to write scripts that I can't finish. I have ADHD apparently. I found that out in therapy. If I couldn't get the YouTube channel off the ground during the pandemic, you think I'm gonna get it off the ground?
Which, okay, man, I understand, but you're using MrBeast in the title because people want to hear about that. And when they click on it, they're going to be a little off-put by the fact that you're just kind of trauma dumping on us. Some people point this out in the comments. They're like, hey, I clicked for MrBeast. Can you get to the point? And then his response in following videos are, you're dumb. You're stupid. You can't pay attention. Do you go to movies and say, hey, get to the point?
A lot of people were saying about my video, oh my God, just get to the point. You know, a lot of people, they go into the comments, but for everybody who has had their brains ruined by the way that Jimmy makes content, you know, that ADHD, hey, it's okay. You're a victim of substance abuse, and that substance is MrBeast videos. So for those of you who need that extra spoon feeding, here we're gonna just watch the whole. What do you guys do at the movies? Do you guys walk into movie theaters and go, it starts getting good 30 minutes in?
No, because the movie gives us what we asked for when we watch the movie. This would be a similar situation to me seeing a movie and then the director comes on screen for like 20 minutes before the movie and starts ranting about how hard life is and how capitalism sucks. In that case, I would say, hey, can you get to the point? I came here for the movie. Jake Weddle thrives on pity. It's a big source of inspiration from him. It's like his main life force. Pity. He'll throw a pity party, and when he gets the pats on the back, the victimization, he feels good about it. Now, that's something that probably sources from his childhood, but it's no excuse to tear down somebody else and throw dirt on their name just to fuel it, but I'll get to that. He's been doing this for years. He'll victimize himself in every way possible without doing anything about it, and he'll come on screen and tell us how hard his life is and how he can't seem to get by. Here's the thing, guys. This is somebody that's been given every opportunity in the world to succeed, and he doesn't do shit with it. He's speaking to people that are in poverty, people in tough situations. You're somebody that's been spoon-fed and handed these opportunities. You got a job at MrBeast, which is the largest YouTube channel in the fucking world. You had an opportunity to be in a room for 30 days and then win $300,000, which would change anyone's life forever. You have that on your resume. You've worked with like Kai Cenat and all these people, and then you got a dream of stand-up. And man, you're naturally charismatic. It seems like you got some flow going. You have every advantage in the world, and you haven't capitalized on it. You haven't done anything with it. And the fact that you're broke and the fact that your life sucks is nobody's fault but yours. It's not our fault. It's not fucking MrBeast's fault. It's Jake Weddle's fault that Jake Weddle is financially struggling. And it's definitely not capitalism's fault.
Now here's the thing. I'm a leftist. Right? Leftist political streamers. He is literally the most capitalist person. You know, if you could go back and kill baby Hitler, well, copy paste baby Jeff Bezos. Baby Bezos. Bezos.
Yup, we got the Hitler comparisons, and I guess Jeff Bezos caught astray because he's too rich. Therefore, he's evil and deserves to die, according to him. The problem with somebody having a YouTube channel after making huge allegations is that we get to see the mask slip every once in a while. There's a ton of examples of him saying he hates capitalism and the entire system that we live in, and he hates rich people just because they're rich. He won't even refute that.
All of my anti-big corporate people, where are you at?
He'll go on to blame capitalism along with MrBeast and along with everything else. And the only reason I bring this up is because it's a repeated behavior. When he learned that he would have the chance to get on stage and be victimized in front of the largest audience that he's ever had, he took it, and he was happy to do it, and thinking that just because he was a little bit uncomfortable, that must mean that there's wrongdoing on his end. That's a very, very spoiled mindset to have. I'm getting $300,000, but I wasn't completely comfortable during the experience, so that means that I have all the right to tear this guy's empire down. He believes that rich people are bad and that corporations are all bad and they shouldn't exist and capitalism sucks. So when he looks at MrBeast, he doesn't see a person. He sees that as a good target. He doesn't have any moral convictions by ruining his entire reputation because he's rich and he thinks that he shouldn't be rich. When he was asked, okay, how are we supposed to make MrBeast ethical? How are we supposed to turn these games ethical? And his response was, do it off camera.
Because with what you're saying, it sounds like MrBeast can't ethically run any kind of challenge.
Or anything. Well, yeah, no, I also don't like the way he does challenges too. So I'm just consistent on that too. I think when you stick a camera in a poor person's face and make them dance for money, I think it's fucked up and weird and creepy. But that's just me.
Okay, so do you think there's any ethical way that MrBeast could be doing these challenges?
Yeah, turn the fucking camera off. Don't do a challenge. You want to be ethical? Just fucking donate because it's the right thing to do. Don't make fucking content out of it.
I'll give him credit for sticking to his position, but being consistently stupid does not make the situation better. I don't think that you would have been okay with the game that was run on you based on the logic that you're providing if there were no cameras involved. Would that automatically turn everything good? I think we're trying to decipher what made the game that was run on you especially bad. And if you're saying all of them are equally bad, then why are you the only one saying anything? How about you go and interview all of the people that have won money from MrBeast and ask them if they're unhappy with it at all. Ask them if they're traumatized for having to do a challenge on camera for the money. His argument is, of course they need the money, so they'll do anything and they'll do it on camera. Yeah, that's how MrBeast has the money to give them in the first place. If his business model wasn't so lucrative, he wouldn't have the money to give them. It's just you that has an issue with it. Are you stupid? I'm sorry. I'm not gonna stoop to the Jake level. You can't be stupid. You're a comedian and you see things through a comedic lens, right? But if I was only just meeting you, you're unhappy with the situation and you really, really want a way for Jimmy to be at fault. Explain how he's the bad guy. What did he do wrong? Did he keep you there? Him having you do the marathon thing? He's some sort of tyrant for expecting you to do the thing that you signed up for? You could say no. Obviously, it's uncomfortable, but these are the things you got to consider when you're going into a situation like this, I guess. One would think the compensation was high enough for the uncomfortability to exist, but I guess not in everyone's case. This generation is cooked, man. It's the concept of my feelings matter more than anything else. Doesn't matter what's going on, how I feel about something is the most important thing. That is not true. He feels as if his feelings are of vital importance, but everybody else's aren't. If somebody slightly disagrees with him, he freaks out and insults them. Not in a comedic way, but in a way where he's actually triggered and he's trying to offend you and hurt you. I had no animosity towards Jake Weddle up until this point, where he put out a video called What Happened to Dave Chappelle, where he shits on Dave Chappelle for making trans jokes. He basically thinks that Dave Chappelle's done and he's dusty and he's no good anymore. I very much disagree with that, so I just took to the comments. I left him a detailed analysis on why he's wrong. Yeah, I know it's a lot. I was passionate about that. Nowhere in that comment was I mean, was I rude, was I disrespectful. I just kind of laid out a point. I actually went so far to say I like the video out of support and I love your stuff, keep doing you, etc., etc. It's just light pushback to his point that he was making. Now his response to that was a little bit surprising to me. He goes, "Woof, someone's so triggered they left an essay as a comment. If you're afraid of getting canceled, you're a pussy, full stop. As a stand-up for 10 years, I find this take low IQ and annoying." It really seems like he didn't even read the comment, and then he decided to say this take was low IQ and annoying. I could have easily been a Patreon subscriber, somebody that's giving him money tuning into his videos all the time as a fan. I didn't indicate any hate or anything like that in my comment. I just had a different view. And as a comedian, you would think that he would have like a comedic comeback, if anything, not just saying you're low IQ and insulting the intelligence of his commenter. I could have been just any fan. My response was, I don't think you read my comment. Not every disagreement is a personal attack, man. Take a seat sometimes. You're responding to a point I did not make and missed out on the part where I praised you and wished you well. Nice. I'm now low IQ because I disagree. Jake Weddle, ladies and gentlemen. All the other commenters were on my side with it. They said, well said, man. I totally agree. I also thought it was funny how he didn't even read your comment. Or if he did, he totally misunderstood it. Now, a lot of this video was made before this interaction happened. Just to be completely clear, I'm not making this purely to be petty, but I'd be lying to you guys if I told you I didn't go a little bit harder on him because that interaction happened. Because I did. I'm a petty guy. What can I say?
Something that could show your potential motivations or whatever that I think does, unfortunately, like hurt your credibility. In like the first minute of your video or something, you say something along the lines of like quoting, like support my Patreon if you want to see like justice done for MrBeast, and like you plug your Patreon a lot.
I did not say that. I did not say those exact words, but I know I said something similar.
It's the
and might have
sentiment.
alluded to if you want to see XYZ. Yeah,
He's promoting that this is some group resistance against taking down the evil MrBeast, and he doesn't really have a clear goal as to what he wants to happen. Do you want him to lose his career? Do you want him to go to prison? Stop doing games on camera? That is the cornerstone of his entire business. Do you want him to just make it right with you? Well, that leads me to my next point.
Scamming your supporters on Patreon and completely selling out.
So after this video was out for a while, Jake posted a lot more about the MrBeast situation on his own YouTube to try to garner some more attention. He talks some more about random topics, him versus this random staff member, Jake the Viking, and trying to make that some sort of YouTube beef. He put together this video called Jake Weddle versus Jake the Viking.
And I held my tongue, Viking, because you weren't in my crosshairs, okay? I had bigger fish to fry, all right? But if you insist, let's talk about Viking. Off the bat, transphobic, so fuck that.
Everything that's said in this video is meant to be like a big bombshell, like straight up transphobic. Like what? So obviously they disagree on a highly politicized issue, and he's trying to make that out to be that he's some horrible person, which he might be. I'm not really keen on the facts with Jake the Viking. But then he moves on to this situation where he's defending Ava Chris Tyson because apparently he thinks that she was treated unfairly. Just to recap, she was caught having sexual conversations with a minor.
I'm sure a lot of you saw my previous Ava Tyson video, but in that video I talked about the hypocrisy between people who give these people a pass for doing something awful and these people not a pass for doing the exact same awful thing. The only difference is these people are LGBTQ.
But then he doesn't see the clear hypocrisy of making this video in the first place. He's saying it's dumb when you give a certain group a pass and not another group, but he's basically outlining on why we should give more of a pass to Ava Chris Tyson because she's LGBTQ. You don't even have to change his wording to make it funny.
Is it's okay when these people do it, but oh, not when these people do it.
And that's dumb.
Yes, Jake, I'm glad you're seeing that it's dumb. Then he goes on to expose Jake the Viking and ruin his reputation forever by revealing to the public that he publicly littered. Cancel him immediately.
After I did what I did lose some friends. They were the only things holding me back from going from full Drake Bell to Cat Williams. So, if I've lost those friends, Biscottios, let's get pimpin'. And then everybody else had to stay behind and clean up. And Viking said, fuck that. Let's just throw all of this over the side of the mountain. You know, like littering.
And he's claiming that they hired like PIs to dig dirt up on him, so now he's clapping back and saying, I don't need PIs to get dirt on you.
And if you're asking me what my proof is, well, if you don't know, I am from North Carolina. That's my home. And when you're in my home, you see, you don't really know that when you guys think there's no cameras around, or you don't realize that you could be around any of my friends. So it doesn't matter where you are in North Carolina. When you guys make an ass of yourselves, people can't text me fast enough to tell me what you guys are doing in private. So I can talk about how you like to flex your bank account to people who you paid to be around, James. I didn't have to be this guy. In North Carolina, my dirt is organic. This is a warning shot, and I do not send two. I don't want to do this.
Now, if this is a big satire and I missed a point, then please let me know, but I really don't think so. I think this guy is just genuinely that corny. In that video, he looks at the camera directly and says, I'm happy with myself because all the money that I'm making, every cent is going to be from myself and my creativity and telling the truth. And that's where I'll build my money from. I'm not going to take any money from MrBeast. I'm not accepting a cent from him. I don't want his money. I don't want any of that.
I'm going to win because I'm being honest and I'm being authentic. And that's something you guys will never have. I don't want an apology and I don't want your money. Every penny I make moving forward is going to be because I earned it. So if you think I earned it, $100,000 should have been more money than I was ever going to see in my entire life. So if you want to prove a point, Patreon in the link below.
Like he wants to be like a Dave Chappelle, you know, like turning down all that money and going to Africa. I was thinking, all right, at least he's got principles, I guess, even if they're misguided. But then he trapped himself in a box because MrBeast reached out and he offered him a large sum of money. He offered him like $180,000. If I'm wrong about that, I'll correct myself above. So then he was in a predicament. Here's a little bit of him explaining that situation.
So we talked on the phone for a while. I'm going to do a reenactment of what our phone conversation between me and Jimmy was. I have a lot of money. Do you want some? Oh, how much money? How about the rest of the money from the thing? About $190,000. Would you like that? I don't want it to look like I'm buying you out or you're being silent. I want you to keep doing what you're doing. This is just for me to you to make things right. I respect that. I appreciate that. But you know how it looks, you know, for you to give me this cash that I desperately need. Counter offer. 50. That's going to cover all my debts, some medical bills that I have. I don't want an apology, and I don't want your money. Every penny I make moving forward is going to be because I earned it. So if you want to prove a point, Patreon in the link below.
What's more important to Jake? He's trying to weigh it in his head. What's more important to Jake Weddle? Is it squeezing the most out of an opportunity and getting all the money? Or is it getting the sympathy from my fans still? So what he does is he goes, yeah, I'll take $50,000 instead. So pay me less. I'll still have my integrity. So that way I can have my cake and eat it too. I can have my integrity for my fans and I can have some money. That's awesome. Well, that doesn't work that way. You can choose to keep your integrity or you could take the money. I don't blame you for doing either. Take the money if you want. I understand that's a large sum of money. But instead you did the worst of both options. You lost all your integrity. You didn't get even half the money. That is insane. I don't know how you managed to fuck that up so bad, but then you call other people low IQ.
I have a clip up if you want where you quote exactly in your previous video. I'm sure you're aware because this is what you've grown your new audience off of. Is that you said that the way you're going to win this game is with honesty and not taking money. I don't want your money, MrBeast.
Well,
Do you want to establish
we're going to establish the points. The points that I established that I'm going to help you follow. So the points that we're establishing is I don't want Jimmy's money. I don't want to be in a position to have to take Jimmy's money. When you have $200 in your bank account and they're offering you $190,000 and you still don't take all $190,000 because you don't want to be bought out, because you don't want to be XYZ. But you still need 50. I don't want Jimmy's money, but I need to eat food. Is that okay?
You're in a very difficult situation. It is very much like bad of a moral dilemma. But I don't think MrBeast is responsible for your poor financial status.
I just can't help but feel like it is scrutiny that I feel like is better suited to the person with all the money and all the power.
Yeah, the way it just comes across to me is that when it benefits you, that you will take the money from MrBeast. Well, the thing is that it feels like you're trying to only take the specific amounts that you feel like will be acceptable, that your audience will accept. Because you know, if you took 190K, that your audience...
I care about my audience a lot.
Yeah, you care about how
yeah.
you care how you're received socially. You care about your credibility because you said in your previous videos, and the way that you earned your credibility was saying that every penny I make moving forward will be because I earned it. I don't want your money, MrBeast.
And you came across 50, if you don't think I earned that 190, if you don't think I earned that 300, then you can suck a dick, brother.
Okay.
I think he takes such issue with the money being a mechanism of the game. He says it constantly, but he's saying now that he earned the money. You developed a following on Patreon, a paid subscription service filled with people that thought that they were supporting somebody that had credibility. If you're going to lose your integrity, take it all. Take it all and say, hey, I deserve it, internet. Just go on the internet and own it. It's better in my hands than his. Or say, I'll donate it all or something, right? It's just a low IQ play. It's a skill issue. Again, you know, I don't have a problem with it happening. I don't think it's like a moral thing. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think you're morally in the wrong for taking the money. Now you're known to be a fucking compulsive liar, opportunistic in every sense, to say anything that you need to say to get people to like you and to stroke your ego and for people to pat you on the shoulder and say, it'll be okay. The big bad MrBeast got you, didn't he? His excuse was, hey, I'm a human being. I need to eat. I need to make money. I need to eat to live. In order to live, I need money. So again, he's blaming like the system we live in, right? It's not MrBeast's fault that you are poor. And the fact that he's offering you money doesn't put you in a position where it's like, I can't say no. I can't say no. Because it's not like he's taking all of your money away that you have now and saying, I'll give it back. Like, no, he's giving you additional money. That money did not exist. Not for you. You can either accept or decline. If you don't like the terms, then you don't like the terms. And you accept partially. You did the worst formation of anything you could do. And I can't respect you for that. I can't. But then when you get called out for this, your excuses are bad. And the reason why you can't hold a point is because you have no point. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching. Let me know if you disagree in the comments. I want to hear your take on it. All I wanted to do was provide information. It seems like everybody's kind of taking him at face value and not really looking into it when someone's entire livelihood and his life is at stake here. Now, the dog pack thing, I'm not refuting any of that information. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out. But when it comes to this person in specific, I think it's an open and shut case. Let me know if I'm wrong, though. Am I bugging? Am I biased? I don't know. You'll have to let me know. I appreciate you watching to the end, though. Thank you so much. You guys mean the world to me. Appreciate y'all.